In this video, I'll show you 10 modeling mistakes I made that ruined my models. So this is my perfect model, but there's some things that I didn't know when I first started modeling. First things first, this one is shaded flat. So you might be thinking, oh, we need to shade smooth. This causes all kinds of shading errors. So what we really want to do is go to shade auto smooth. This just looks way better. This one is shaded auto smooth, but it has these shading errors. And that's because when I was adding details or something, I'd accidentally move a vertex slightly, and it just causes these problems and makes things look bad. This one is easier said than done. There is not enough detail on this model. You'll notice this one, it's covered in detail, there's all this stuff. This one, it's just a few things, and it doesn't look as good. This one is hard to demonstrate, but the problem is it's too symmetrical. And it might sound weird, like, oh, don't I want things to be symmetrical? Yes, but not too much. So in the real world, nothing is perfectly symmetrical. So if you go here, you can see how this one right here is ever so slightly taller than that one right there. And there's like this little bump and things like that. And it's a small thing, but it does help. This one has a flat edge. It does look better than this one, but the reason is because it is not shaded auto smooth. If it was, it does not look as good, and this one looks better. So when you're modeling, you want to just bevel out those edges right there. So I can go there, press 2 to select edges, and press Alt, and now click. Oh, didn't do it quite right. If you do it correctly, you'll select that loop there. Now if I press Control B, I can bevel. According to YouTube's analytics, only 5.2% of you are subscribed. Now the problem with this one is rather subtle, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. There is a bevel error. Now when you're beveling too much, like here, it creates these overlays that just look bad, and that's kind of all there is to it. You have to make sure you're not beveling too much or things will look bad. Now this one actually looks pretty good compared to this one. They're exactly the same from the outside, but on the inside there's an issue. If I press L to select the mesh, you'll notice it's all one mesh, but if I go to this one, they're separated, and there's a reason why you'd want that. When I'm adding materials, I don't want to have to go like, oh, let me add this material. So I'm gonna select my top. Oh wait, that's not gonna work. Let me do this, and I don't know, select like that. But then I'll have to unselect the cap, and it's just really tedious and annoying, and it doesn't look as good either. So what's better to do is when you're modeling, separate the pieces. Like, don't model everything out of the same piece. Once you're done with one piece, like press Shift A, get another one, and then use that. Now this one might seem a bit strange, but when you're modeling and you're adding your materials again, it's important to add materials plural, because if you just have one, no matter how good your model is, it's going to look boring. And oftentimes, not in this case, but oftentimes you're going to want to have like 4 or 5 materials at least before it starts looking good. So this one was kind of hard to demonstrate, but I modeled my microphone, and there's something you might notice. So if you look at the edges there, they're not flat, but they're also not beveled. So this is like adding like little imperfections. You might be like, oh, wait, I don't want that. That sounds bad. But in reality, like I said earlier, nothing is perfect. So you'll want to add these perfections. It just makes things look better. Now, there are a couple ways to do this. If you want to be really specific, you can go to sculpting, and then you can turn on dynamic topology and like sculpt issues. Like I can press Shift and flatten out parts. But if you don't have much time, there's something along those lines. Something I like to do is just go to modifiers and add a remesh modifier. So if something's gonna be like in the background or something, that'll often just work fine. Another thing though is that for a long time I just didn't have confidence making my own models. I would always be like, oh, if I can't find a free model that looks good and I can use, I just can't make that scene, because I didn't trust myself to make good models. No, make your own models. It's hard for a little bit, but honestly it doesn't take that long to learn if you really try. It might not seem like a huge difference, but when you look at the two models side by side, they just this one just looks so much better, and I'd never want to use anything like this.